It's time for the one and only, the premier, the only official podcast of Pro Rodeo. Your Chute Bosses are ready, so let's give it a go and talk some rodeo.
We're back here for another amazing episode of the Chute Bosses, the official podcast of the PRCA. It's Tanner and Tracy here back with you. We were in Sioux Falls, South Dakota all this past weekend for the 2023 Cinch Playoffs Governor's Cup presented by Community Coffee, and we'll touch on that in just a little bit. But whether you can believe it or not, Tracy, here we are. The Pro Rodeo regular season has come, it is gone, and can you believe it, man? We're already at the end of the season.
Yeah, like I said earlier, December, the NFR happens, 2022, and next thing you know, the 2023 regular season's over. It seems like such a long marathon, but it speeds up. Once we get to June, everything really, really speeds up, and now it's over, so now they're going to crunch all the numbers, get all the NFR qualifiers ready for the December huge payday in December at the Thomas & Mack.
Well, it feels like we were just talking about it being Cowboy Christmas. It was June and July, and now we're already into October. We got circuit finals next week.
I know, all the circuit finals start up, and rodeo is one of the weirdest sports from the concept
bizarre,
of there's no off season.
Yeah.
I mean, it ends September 30th. The guys are rodeoing that next weekend, and then circuit finals, which count towards 2024 standings, and it just goes all the way through. There's some slower times, but there's never an off time like Major League Baseball or football where they have gaps of a couple months where they're not technically doing anything outside of working out. But that's the world of rodeo we live in, and it's year-round, essentially.
Yeah, well, before we flip the script of the 2024 rodeo season, even though it is October, let's give a flashback, Tracy. We'll go to our Pro Rodeo props because we were in Sioux Falls, as I touched on at the top of the podcast, and, man, what a first-class event. You know, the city of Sioux Falls, the Denny Sanford Premier Center, you know, the Governor Christie Nome, everything was so great about that event. You give a shout-out to Cinch, Rory Lemmel, his staff. They just did a fantastic job, man. One of the better run rodeos we've been to, and what a way to end the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, they rolled out the red carpet. They had the reception party at the district the Wednesday, the night before the competition, and that Denny Sanford Center's top notch. I mean, it fit probably 8 for rodeo. I know they were probably pitching around 5,000 on the last night. It'll get bigger and better. I mean, it's obviously they have the support there. They have the payouts and the paydays guys want to qualify for, and the media food was outstanding. And
we ate like kings.
I mean, I've been to media food where you might send a stray cat, make a stray cat blush. Some of the media food, this wasn't the case. It was high-end, classy food, and it makes you feel better because it makes you just feel welcomed.
It does.
And that's what we felt like. We felt like they wanted us there, and it was just a great event. I can't say enough.
Yeah, it was awesome. So we give a shout-out to all of them, Governor Christie Nome as well, for backing that and making it happen, because Pro Rodeo deserved to have an event like that, and it was awesome to see it go that way. Let's go into our short round. We mentioned it's time for the end of the Pro Rodeo regular season. We're already into October. September is gone. So, Tracy, now becomes an important time from about now till maybe the middle of October 15th range, where the Pro Rodeo regular season and the standings are going to be audited, and people can put in grievances, contestants can, to say, you know, I didn't unofficial that, or I did, or, you know, this guy shouldn't have this much money, I shouldn't. So, an important time coming up. You've been here longer than I. Just kind of explain it a little bit to our viewers and listeners out there of what really transpires here over the next couple of weeks.
Well, I mean, basically, you just strip everything down to audit to make every rodeo that was counted for the official world standings for Cowboys. That's what's in the world standings. At times, guys would unofficial rodeos and they thought it was official, and then you take away $5,000 because they won. I know what happened to Spencer Wright a few years back, and I know Tom Richards, the team roper, he ended up winning a grievance over an official, unofficial rodeo, and it got him in with Cesar de la Cruz. So, I mean, it's just basically you're trying to get all the things back. It's like a rewind to make sure everything's correct, but it's like auditing your taxes.
And it's really important for some of these contestants.
Well, I mean, it can make the difference of getting in the NFR or not. I mean, and getting in the NFR, you have a chance to win. I mean, you get a $10,000 stipend, and then you have a chance to win, you know,
as much money as you want, almost
$300,000 if you get on a heater. So I mean, it's a life-changing event, and that's why they do the audit, to get it correct, and that's why they have 2 weeks. And as you said, even if they don't get in, I believe it's a week after the 2 weeks that they can file a grievance, and then it becomes official, like completely official. Usually by the 3rd week of October, we have a really strong idea of exactly who's in, and hopefully there's no bartering this time, and hopefully it's a smooth path. But I mean, because it's heartbreaking if you thought you were in and didn't get in because of official or unofficial rodeos or money that was added in correctly. So hopefully everything's done correctly and the guys get in that we're supposed to be in.
No doubt about it. And before we get to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, we talk a little bit about what's going to be going on in Las Vegas. We have the Golden Circle of Champions. That's an event that they let us know, Tracy, that's going to be coming to Vegas again. It will be Saturday, December 10th. And what a great cause. It's our pro rodeo contestants going and interacting, and rodeo committees from across the country interacting with local children that's dealing with pediatric cancer. You know, you see our contestants wear the gold ribbons, whether it's a handkerchief that they tie to their their saddle horn for ropers, different things like that. Just a great cause and a great thing that our Cowboys really love doing, and I'm sure the kids love it as well.
I mean, it changes their life, even if it's for an hour or two or even a day, and they remember it forever. I mean, they're battling something that hopefully isn't terminal. Hopefully they all can rebound. I mean, cancer's a horrible thing and doesn't know face, name, color, race. And our Cowboys give back their time, and it means everything, especially on that big stage of the NFR, that they give a couple hours at a time for kids that are battling cancer. And I only know, I've been to the Exceptional Rodeo several times, and you can see the expression on the faces, the parents, the family members that are part of that. For the Kyle Irwins or Tough Coopers that show up and smile and take photos and help them through drills. I mean, it means everything to them. It seems small to some, but to them, it's the world.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see it. It's always a great moment, and I know everybody loves participating in that, and can't wait for it in Las Vegas. We said that banquet will be Sunday, I said Saturday earlier. It'll be Sunday, December 10th, so make sure you get out there and support. We head for our 8-question segment coming up soon, and it's going to be Tim the Titan O'Connell. Tracy, we had a chance to chat with Tim before the pro rodeo season came to an end. What an intense guy, but, a genuine nice guy that goes out there and gives it all every single time he nods his head.
Yeah, he's a stick of dynamite, and he's so intense, but he does everything the right way. And he can go to bed at night and sleep because no matter what happens out there, he's given his all. I mean, you can just see it emotionally, the physicality of everything he does. He's prepared, he's ready, he knows everything, he's going about it. He's won 3 world titles, 2016 through 18. He had a title in 2020 in his grasp, and it just slipped through. He's one of the best bareback riders in the last decade. He's got a Hall of Fame resume. He's great to other bareback riders, especially guys like Jess Pope. And I mean, he means a lot to the PRCA, and it's great to see. I mean, he's getting older. Bareback riders, it's more for the younger guy, but he's in such great shape. He's able to compete at a high level still.
Let's do it. Here's 8 questions with Tim O'Connell.
What's your most memorable rodeo moment?
Winning the world in 2016.
3 words to describe rodeo to someone who's never been to a rodeo.
Dangerous, exciting, entertaining.
How has rodeo life helped you outside of rodeo?
It's helped me outside of rodeo. It's taught me discipline. It's taught me to get up every morning with a passion and do what you love to do.
How has wrestling helped you in rodeo?
Same thing. It's taught me dedication. It's taught me discipline. If you want to be the best, you gotta work for it every single day, and there's no one to blame but yourself.
What is your guilty pleasure?
Sweets.
Favorite restaurant?
Favorite restaurant? That's a tough one. I would say Primal Steakhouse in Las Vegas.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Man, you're gonna hit me with that? Like, do we have a genre? No. Favorite movie I would have to say is gosh dang. I can't even put it. I'm gonna go. I got like 15 like running in my head right now. Favorite Western is The Cowboys. Favorite rodeo movie is 8 Seconds. Favorite sports movie is Rush. Favorite comedy is Step Brothers.
Always great to chat with Tim. And Tracy, you can just tell he has a great personality as well. He can seem intense at times, but Tim is also a guy that likes to have fun, enjoys, he can joke, he can laugh around, and it's just great catching up with him. Yeah, I mean, as intense as we say he is, he does have a great personality. I mean, it's kind of that barrier he puts up just because that's just who he is when he's intense and he's competing, but he's such a nice guy, and you love to see him succeed. No doubt about it. We're going to take a quick break here on the Chute Bosses, but don't go anywhere. Much more coming your way, as well as at the back end of the show, we'll sit down and talk with Tanya Tucker. All that coming your way on the Chute Bosses.
They say time waits for no one.
And yet, I refuse to be held hostage by its ticking clock.
Is this land worth knowing?
You tell me.
With the all-new Ranger XD 1500, time doesn't have to wait, because you've got it standing still.
Welcome back into the Chute Bosses. We got much more coming your way here. We mentioned Tanya Tucker. She'll join us at the back half of the show here. But we got a couple of things to get through first, Tracy, on our to-do list here. First one's going to be our Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame Spotlight. And this gentleman right here kind of, set the original curve of what it was going to be like in bareback riding, the tough, the hardworking, the dedicated. And then he has a son come up and do the exact same thing. He's probably the best bareback rider. I guess he is now world championship-wise, best bareback rider of all time. Our Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame Spotlight, 1992 Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame inductee Louis Field.
Yeah, and he passed away in 2016 at the age of 59 from pancreatic cancer. Obviously, he was a legend in the sport. I mean, he's got all his world titles. He goes to the Hall of Fame, and I mean, Casey admits, and I mean, he learned everything from him. Casey wins 6 world titles. I mean, the pedigree's there, and from everything that I gathered from people that knew Louis, and I didn't know him personally, he was just a great guy, just a fantastic guy, and it's unfortunate his life was cut short by pancreatic cancer, but he left his mark on the sport, and obviously his son's still carrying that legacy.
Yeah, we mentioned Louis Field, his Pro Rodeo titles, 5-time world champion, 3 in the all-around, so he did a couple events as well, and then 2 in bareback riding. So there's your Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame spotlight. His son carries it on. Wouldn't be surprised we don't see Casey there pretty darn soon, Tracy, when he decides to hang up the boots and spurs.
Yeah, whenever he does, he's an automatic. He's a first ballot. I mean, six world titles, and he had so much separation between the first to the last, and it's just it's a testament to those guys that can still do it at an older age, because the younger generation is catching up to them, but they do what they have to succeed. And I mean, similar to Tim O'Connell, they work, and they're rewarded for their work.
No doubt about it. Our Did You Know segment coming your way. We go back to 2022. Did you know that the PRCA membership was at just over 6,000 Cowboys, 6,064 to be exact, and that's just contestants that are out there competing. Another 1,246 contestants, contract personnel, whether that's contract personnel, performers, stock contractors, are in that side of things. So Pro Rodeo, Tracy, there's a lot of folks and a lot of people that make this thing go round.
Yeah, and then you add the 800 plus rodeos a year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big business. It employs a lot of people. It does a lot of great things for communities. And I mean, it's a lifestyle. It's truly a lifestyle.
It's growing too.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of a dip there during the COVID years. Some contestants, that maybe went down just a little bit. But speaking with PRCA CEO Tom Glaus, mentioned that we're on the climb again. The numbers are starting to get back to where they were pre-pandemic, and things are looking up in the sport of rodeo.
Well, I mean, look at the prize money.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's harder. It's like your buddy wants to be a professional golfer and he thinks he can go out on the PGA Tour. I mean, there's a very few that can make a true great living at it, but you can still do it at the circuit level, or do it at your local rodeo and still win some money and get your card. I mean, rodeos, for whoever wants to try it, we don't stop people from trying it. It's a great sport, and it all kind of ties into the Western way of life. It's just a way of life.
Yeah, it is for much of these guys. So we appreciate all of you out there that make the PRCA go round. It's time for our viewer question, and you out there can also submit questions to us, whether it's on our emails, which are listed on the PRCA and the ProRodeo.com, or you can reach us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter. You can send us in your questions, hashtag the Chute Bosses or hashtag Chute Bosses. We'll get those questions on here for you. Our one today, Tracy, comes from Amanda. She sent it to us on Instagram. She wants to know, how does ground money work, and is it only for bull riding? I can kind of start it off with the first half of this. So what ground money is in most of our rough stock events, there's a set purse that they're going to pay out, whether it's 1 through 5, 1 through 8. It's different at every rodeo. So what happens with ground money is when you only have 3 contestants ride, you only have 1 contestant ride, what are you going to do with that remaining purse? So in ground money's case, you add it to the people that did ride. So if, say, we go back to the 2022 NFR, bull rider Tristan Hutchings, there's a set purse of like I think it was 97,000 a round or something like that, total. And he was the only one that rode. He took home $97,000.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just kind of how it works. And, for you, Tracy, is it only in bull riding?
Well, I know ground money only counts in the standings in bull riding.
Correct.
And that's because what people may or may not understand, each event votes to how they want to have the rules within their event through their committee members
100%.
and on the executive council. And bull riding a few years back chose to count the ground money, which changed the dynamics of bull riding entirely because there was guys winning ground money for years. It just never counted. I mean, they'd get the money, but it never counted towards the world standings. Now, like you said, Hutchins, I mean, if he was really, he could have.
I think he bumped himself up to like third in the world.
Yeah, and he could have. I mean, realistically, if he had a great NFR, and he had a great NFR for first time going, but you could win the NFR in one night with
the last night.
You win the average because he ended up taking third in the average as well.
Won like $130,000
in one night.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying with ground money. It really affects bull riding because it counts in the standings. The other rough stock events I know have ground money. They chose, based on the votes of their executive council, not to count it.
And it doesn't happen as much in other events just because they don't get bucked off as much as they do in bull riding,
Right.
Or we don't see it as much.
Right. Bull riding is so unique with ground money because if guys ride 40%, they're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's 4 out of 10. So if you take a 15 field of guys at the NFR, you're probably figuring maybe 5 guys ride a night, give or take. So look how much ground money's left over. So someone's going to cash in big paydays, even if you're in the 5.
Yep, absolutely. So there's your description on ground money. Send in your questions. We'll try and get you answered. We go into our next segment. Before we take a break, we're going down to the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame. Cousin Buck, take it away.
I'm Buck, correspondent for the Chute Bosses. I've been to 9 rodeos in 9 days. I woke up this morning, I didn't even know what city I was in. I was tripping. That's also the word for the day, another word for steer roping. Back at you.
Do you want the world of rodeo in the palm of your hand? Pull out your phones and point it at the screen now to download the Cowboy Channel Plus app. There is so much free content. You get all the latest news, highlights, standings, schedules, day sheets, and more. Follow the sport of rodeo like never before. Download the app and get breaking news, alerts, early access to tickets, and more sent straight to your phone for free. If it's happening in Western sports, it's happening on Cowboy Channel Plus.
Welcome back into the Chute Bosses podcast, the official podcast of Pro Rodeo. And Tracy, we talked off the top of the show. We got a great guest coming our way, a guest that is known beyond country music, known in the Western way of life. Mm-hmm. We sit down and talk with Tanya Tucker, and I can't wait, Tracy. This is one of those people that, I've been, I guess, probably seeing since I was a kid. Really, when I first started, listening to country music, she was always there and always one of the faces that you tuned in to watch and see.
Yeah, I mean, she's obviously the rodeo ties with Larry Mahan, and I mean all the famous people she's crossed paths with Willie Nelson and good friends. I mean, she's a country music legend, top 100 in Rolling Stone in 2017 in country music artists. I mean, that says it right there. I mean, the history of country music. So this is quite the honor for us.
Tanya, we appreciate you joining us here on the Chute Bosses podcast. It's great to have you here with us, and we can't wait to get some of those great stories out of you.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to be here. We're trying to load my bus to get on the road, and we're headed to Knoxville for a show. And I've had to cancel so many because I've had neck surgery, and it's just been, I thought, well, go in there and get it done, and I'll be good. But no, it's been a long haul. So, and they're outside making noise, so I better go tell them. Can you hear that noise?
Nope, you're perfectly fine.
Perfectly fine.
I'll go stop it. They're getting the bus ready, and we're here in Texas, and just about to get back on the road.
And then for you, obviously we talked about your connections to the Western way of life and Larry Mahan. Take us through a little bit about, that went into this song you released after, Larry passed away, and you obviously incorporated a couple of things from his pro rodeo career. Just talk about that and, the impact that Larry had on your life, the friendship you guys had together.
Well, it's so, the whole song is just a real kind of a fluke. Because I was in LA getting ready for my sessions to record this new album. And Brandy Carlisle, who produced it with Shooter Jennings, she sent me a song the night before the studio was supposed to start. I listened to it. I liked it. She always sings my demos, so sips my bark and and I listened to it and I liked it, and I wanted my boyfriend's opinion. So I said, Craig, come here, take the phone, go in another room, and listen to this song. And if you like it, I think we'll start with it tomorrow. So he came back at about 1 minute later, and he said, I wrote the son of a gun. So I said, no way. He wrote it 20 years ago. So when I heard it, I thought, wow, we're going to do a video with this. And that certainly after I recorded it, I thought of, all the cowboys that I've known throughout my life. I mean, my first boyfriend was, a cutting horse guy, and my second boyfriend was a pro rodeo bronc rider, who actually is the star of this new video, which that's another fluke. And we did it at the YO Ranch, which is one of my favorite ranches in Texas. Well, about a week before we were going to go in and we were going to film it at the stockyards, but we changed it to the YO. I'm now a proud owner of some land at the YO. And I thought, who could I get to be in this video? So I called Mahan. And, I haven't talked to him in so long. And he answered. I said, hey, I've got this song coming out, and I want to do a video, and I want you in it. You're the cowboy of all cowboys. And he said, yeah, I'd love to be in it. I can't be around a lot of people. And, of course, that kind of put a red flag. I didn't know he had cancer, and I wasn't aware of that. But I said, well, we'll keep it small. And that was about a week before we started the video. And, of course, Larry passed not too long after we did it. But he couldn't make the video, and I was so sad that he couldn't be there. But we were all there for him, Roy Cooper and Bobby Hooter Brown, and we had Benny Boyd in there, and senior and junior, and it was just a real sort of a reunion with some friends that I hadn't been around in a while, and of course we passed Larry's hat around, and we talked about. I said, man, he was the first cowboy I ever danced with when I was 14. I was doing some of those Jim Pierce rodeos up in South Dakota, and Larry was there, and I remember what I had on. I was 14, and he asked me to dance, so we danced. And the night before he passed, I called him, and I told his daughter Lisa, I said, just put the phone next to his ear. And so she did, and I sang him this whole song. When the rodeo is over, where does the cowboy go? And he listened, I could hear him breathing. And of course, it was the next day he passed. But we dedicated this video to just the memory and to the life, the great life of Larry Mahan, and all that he's meant to rodeo and what he's done for rodeo. I remember being in the middle of a pile of Larry Mahan boots, and we go to the thing at the Denver show, the rodeo, and there would be the mart would be going on. So I've got a picture of me sitting in the middle of all these Larry Mahan boots, which I still have many pair. Maybe they might not fit as well as they used to, but he just meant a lot to not only the Cowboys. The next day Bobby flew them all to Fort Worth, and all the Cowboys were there, Donnie Gay and everybody, and it was just a real celebration of his life. I unfortunately had to go do a show, but he just he meant a lot to all of us, and he's done so much for rodeo, and I was so glad to be able to dedicate this song and this video to Larry Mahan, one of the greatest of all time.
Well, you have obviously tremendous ties to the Western way of life. How many times have you sang at the NFR? It's got to be 20 to 30, right? I mean, all the times you've been there?
I lost count, but I used to love doing the anthem, and I've got another idea too. I was talking to is it Ryan? I think it was Ryan.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to bring my big black Frisian horse and come to the NFR and sing the anthem. But I wanted to do it horseback and with the American flag at the other end of the arena. And you know, that's the thing about rodeo. You know, it's America. You know, and you know, and I want to say something too. All these guys that put their, especially the bull riders, that put their lives on the line every day, every time they get on bull. And I'm just so glad to see that they're starting to get some of their due. You know, they've not ever made enough money. And I'm glad PBR and all that, bull riding is really exciting, but it's a dangerous sport. And I'm so glad to see that they're starting to get some little moolah, you know, because they really deserve it. But rodeo is America. It's just like it's just as America as apple pie or John Wayne. I mean, you know, I performed at my first rodeo was Pikes Peak. I was 14, wow. And that was a minute rodeo, I think, back then. I remember the big guy in the white shirt, you know, handsome guy. So I'd go out there on my horse, do my loop, and then I think the next rodeo was Fort Worth Fat Stock Show. I'm supposed to drop the fat, right? Yeah, you know, that's the way it was. I did 8 shows in Fort Worth for the rodeo, and I was let's see how I was 15, and I had a #1 record at that time, which Would You Lay With Me in a Field of Stone, and the song was very controversial. So I remember very well Billy Bob Watt taking my dad and I back to his office and saying, "This is a family program, you know. You can sing any song you sang, but not that one." And it was #1. So now I've said, you know, go jump in the lake. But then we needed the money, you know. But I did 8 shows there, signed about 2,000 autographs a day. And then I played, what was the next rodeo? Fort Madison, Iowa. I've done Austin. I've done San Antonio, Houston Astrodome. That's another one I'd like to do. That's a big one there. And Cheyenne. And then Cheyenne. So rodeo has been a big part of my song selection too. You know, I've sung a lot of rodeo songs, Cowboy Lovin' Night, and there's a Rainbow Rider, which is one of my favorite songs. But I love nothing better than to go out and sometimes I'd come down from the ceiling. Sometimes I'd ride out in the car. And I said, well, okay, that's fine, but I want a horse to pick me up. And I want, back then, you know, it was no big deal. Now it's like you got to sign your life away or something, you know, so that nobody's liable, you know. And it's all that red tape. But back then it was just, hey, get on the horse and go. And I'd go do a couple spins and do my Roy Rogers. And I just looked so forward to doing that in the rodeos. I thought, I'm a cowgirl, so let's get out there and show it. Of course, you know, and later on, I got into the cutting horses, and I love me a cutting horse, and I still do. It's a lifelong love. But I do love men and women that are in the rodeo business. They're a big part of my career. Without them, I don't know where I'd be, really.
Yeah, Tanya, for you, you know, we mentioned going back to when you hit stardom at such a young age. I think it was Delta Dawn back in the day. And, you know, what was that, you know, like having that stardom at such a young age and then, you know, trying to progress in your career to where you are now?
Well, you know, my dad was my manager, and he was always there by me. And it wasn't glamorous. It was a lot of hard work, lots of hard work. You know, my dad always told me, he said, you know, you have to be in love with your goal. You don't have to be in love with what you got to go through to get to your goal, but you got to keep your eyes on the goal. And no matter what, be in love with your goal. And, you know, my goal was to perform to as many people as I could. And that's what we did. You know, we played a lot. We Vernon, Texas. We did Vernon, Texas rodeo. I remember, you know, hanging out with the family there and riding horses. And it's been a long journey. My dad is no longer with me, and I miss him every day. He was a big, well, I wouldn't be anywhere without him. And I remember one time I played Blackfoot, Idaho, and the FFA guys, I was like probably about 15 or 16 maybe. And I was in Blackfoot, Idaho. And that night, the FFA guys came on stage and gave me a little black and white spotted pig. And my dad's probably going, oh my God, you know. So we had to get on a plane, and we left and flew into. I had that little baby pig in my arms. I tried to act like he was a little kid, you know, and he was sleeping, so no problem. We got to Salt Lake though, and we're back in the back of that one of those 880s, and right way in the back. And me and my dad, and all of a sudden that pig started, you know. And everybody's looking up, what the world? And so people were looking, and I'm in the very back seat. And here comes the FAA. And they said, excuse me, but do you have a pig in your arms? I said, yeah. And so we ended up, you can't have a pig on this plane. So my dad said, well, y'all got you a pig. But we put him in a little crate and put him underneath and got it to Chicago. And then we had to go to Fort Madison, Iowa. We took a little plane, and this pilot was waiting for us. And he said, they'd already loaded the pig in the plane. And the pilot kept looking around. And my dad said, what's the problem? He said, the tower called and said that Tanya Tucker's coming in, and she's got her sister, her dad, 9 pieces of luggage, and a hog. And he said, well, you done loaded the hog. He's already on the plane. You know, he thought it was going to be a big hog, you know. So we loaded a Spot, I think I named him, and went to Fort Madison, Iowa, and did the rodeo there. And it rained. I remember it rained, and, you know, that wasn't no big deal because the mud I was probably up to my knees in mud out in the middle of that arena. And, but we did the show anyway. And I remember it so well. So I used to take baths with my Spot pig. So I had him for quite a while, but then he started growing. But it was a real special time because and rodeo I have a lot of really special memories of it. Delta Dawn on up, and this is the first time I think in a few years that I haven't been to the NFR. I decided they needed to give me a little more money at the hotel I was working. So I said, man, I want to go back to the same price I went last year. Hell, I'm going to the Hall of Fame. Shouldn't I get a little more money here?
Inflation, come on.
Yeah, October 22nd, they're inducting me.
Oh, congratulations.
And just to talk about it makes me nervous, you know, because, 51 years. And people, when they congratulate me, I swear, not one person has gone without saying, congratulations. It's about damn time. And, I guess I just wouldn't go away. So we might as well put her in the Hall of Fame. She's not going to go away. So I'm getting ready for that and just trying to think about, speech. How do you cover 51 years, in just a matter of a few minutes? So we'll see. I don't know. Brenda Lee and Connie Smith are sending me into the hall, 2 of my very favorites. So I'm just really excited about that.
Well, we really appreciate you being here on the Chute Bosses with us. It's been great to chat with you. We know that you got to hit the road here shortly, but we appreciate it. And like we said, we're really honored to have your presence here because of what you've done in the sport and continue to do, and just in the Western way of life in general.
Well, I'm just so sad that I'm not going to be performing at the NFR this year or in Vegas. I want to do something. I've got a few days. I may have to come out there anyway and just do something.
Perform in the media room. You can come perform in the media room for us.
I'd do that. I'll do anything because I feel like I owe you guys a lot in the rodeo world, and I'd love to come spend a couple days. Come out of shoot number 3. Here's Tanya Tucker. No.
I like it. Well, like we said, we appreciate it. We'll let you get on the road, and thanks for everything, Tanya.
Thanks so much. I really want to be with you guys in Vegas. So if y'all think it's something for me to do, I'll come see you.
All right.
Sounds good.
We'll figure it out. Tracy, how great is she having a chance to join us here on the Chute Bosses? And, just a legendary career, legendary personality.
Yeah, the stories, the songs, the 50-year career, the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's just amazing that we're able to interview someone as big time as this. I mean, we love this podcast. We've worked years to start this. But
don't forget, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And this is my bottle of tequila, Costa Savaje, and it's for, this bottle is dedicated to all the women fighting breast cancer, and together we can win. So this bottle goes to them.
Well, that's very much appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like we said, we can't wait. Hopefully we can find a way to get her out to the NFR. But that's going to wrap it up for another edition of the Chute Bosses here. You can find us on all your favorite podcast platforms as well as YouTube. Make sure to send in those questions for our questions of the week. That's going to do it for now. But until then, keep on rodeoing.